the end of May. It's been 20 days since I last documented the gardens, and it's the end of the day. Normally I do morning tours, and I learned that this is Jerusalem artichoke, this invasive plant that I was digging up that's all rhizomes, and it had invaded this whole planter, so I had to empty that. It was growing all the way up through, it was coming out the bottom down here into my sedum. So pretty much daily I am checking, and I have to dig all the way down and get the big ugly chunks. So people aren't kidding when they talk about invasive weeds ruining gardens. The geraniums coming into bloom. That's pretty. I had some new alliums over here that I planted in the back. The columbine. And we also added this trellis, my Mother's Day gift, to kind of fill in. Honeysuckle bit the dust. It had buds on it this spring, and I don't know if all those frosts that we were getting ruined the buds, but there's no life in it. And I guess I need to learn my lesson and not keep things in pots anymore for the winter. Rock wall I've been planting this week. I put in some new hostas since I lost so many last year with the vole damage. The Brunnera looks lovely. That was slower to come back than I remembered, and the lungwort's gone by. Lady's mantle hasn't bloomed yet. And I was complaining a lot of my heucheras did not come back. It seems to be the darker ones that were almost black. Those were the ones I lost. Virginia in bloom. And then I have a new Jacob's Ladder, the variegated, that I absolutely love. And the Solomon seal. Stilby's really, really happy. And this is a new planter that I did with some darker colors. Lamium, that's new this year. I'm working on adding some ground covers to move me in the more perennial direction. This is a new hosta, Hope Springs Eternal, curly leaves. And Brother Stefan, one of my favorites. It's taken a long time to get this large. Dusty Miller I did from seed. And the Creeping Jenny is such a nice vibrant pot. This is another new hosta, wide brim. Valentine Bleeding Heart, it's a little bit deeper than my other one. And the variegated phlox is mixed in with some forget-me-not that I hand seeded. So when all of these flowers go by, it's getting ready to go to seed. I scrape those little seeds and sprinkle them wherever I want them to come back. And they're kind of everywhere this year. It's my other Jacob's Ladder, my June hosta. And this is another new one over here that I just put in. I can't remember the name of it. Last Dance. One Last Dance. So looking at it, we've got the unnamed hosta that I've had for years and years. Blue, yellow, green, and then back there more green, a little bit of yellow. This is a new one down here. The lemon with the little pink flowers that come up. I'll use that in some arrangements. I put a little piece of bugleweed to work on the filling in the garden game down here. In the back we've got some snapdragons. I had extra seedlings, so I threw them back there to see how they'll do. It's for some color. Virginia bluebells have gone by. They were bright blue. And this columbine was a transplant. I didn't think would make it because it really had no roots, but it's holding its own. And there's a bunch of coleus dotted in here that I started from seed. Another planter, just real simple colors. And this is another new hosta, Captain Kirk. And the white one is my blue ivory, one of my favorites. I lost one last year to the voles and I found another one to replace it. And all along here we have a border of Tiny Tim Alyssum. Trying to reduce the amount of annuals, so I might add a few as the season goes on. And this is the wee hosta in the back that's new. Cool as a Cucumber was last year. And the bugle weed is looking great mixed in with the mint. And the forget-me-nots, I love how they blend in with these little violas. So colorful. And this planter, Lady Luck, one of the proven winners, hanging basket combos. Some good color. And this garden is mostly shade, so we're sticking with what we got. Foliage and kind of monochromatic plan. They still be over here super happy. I lost my ligularia that was planted here. It never really thrived. I think it's just too wet. Then behind this is Stilby, right next to the butterbur. We have the anemone, just closing up for the night. And I'm afraid that the perennial hibiscus, I know they take a long time to come out, but there's nothing showing on this or the other one because they were in pots over the winter, which I need to stop doing that because I didn't really hill them in or anything. Clematis had life this spring, green buds, and I think a frost killed it because there is nothing. This is all dead. I had lost a hosta in that back corner. I found that that Baptisia survived, that was in a pot, so I'm giving that a try. I don't really have big expectations for it. And this is a Diamond Lake hosta, and I had another one. This has been in the ground for a season and a half. This I just put in the ground. Cutting garden, formerly the veggie garden, looks great. I do still have my peas planted in here. 4 different varieties. Plugging along. And this was the first bed that I planted almost a month ago, close to a month ago. We have stock in the front, and I did try to select for doubles. We'll see how successful I was. And then there is some self-seeded dill, and snapdragons fills out the rest of this bed. And over here, I just planted a week and a half ago. I have phlox in the front, alyssum, a couple of gomphrena, which are very puny, did not do well from seed for me this year. We also have orlea on the left. That was winter jug sown. We have the salpiglossis, these larger ones. Those are great. Those are inside sown. And then dill, tetradill, and the traditional dill, another orlea that I had started inside. And in the back, we have tithonia, sunflowers. This is a smaller, shorter version, Smiley, I believe, I started inside. Snapdragons, and the taller Pro Cut. I have a couple Cleome that made it through winter sowing. Another Smiley sunflower there by the wood. Lilies came back and multiplied. Bee balm's looking great. I will probably add another color once I realize what I have when they bloom. And this bed I just did this week. We have Craspedia, zinnias, and on the far side there's some ferny little seedlings, the larkspur. The larkspur was winter sown jugs. And then I did throw a couple of cucumbers over here because I have extra room. My soil conditioner. And there's my newest helper over there, Quacky. Usually wherever I'm gardening, she's right there with me, trying to steal worms. Oh, she's gonna be a bully to the dog. And the poor dog is very unsuspecting. Sweet autumn clematis. It came back really well. So that'll be growing largely. And the lilies that are along the border are just enormous. This is a giant fleece flower. I took a division from my parents because I've got the room, and I think it'll be a nice backdrop behind the bird feeders. So my sheep fencing is just trellis netting and cattle panels. And in here we have all the snapdragons. This was a mystery seedling that was in a tray. I have no idea what it is. A random stalk that was left over. Does not like being over here in this garden. And we have our goldenrod for cutting. Sunflowers in the back, Tithonia. Very wilty looking black-eyed Susan transplant that I planted when it was too hot and sunny. I'm trying the Proven Winners tomato this year, the Garden Treasure. Shorter, bushier. We'll see. Gladiolus have come up. And then the globe thistle transplants. More glads. And then I have a couple of spare zinnias over here in the corner. I started way more zinnias than I needed. And there's more zinnias in here with the peonies, which I'm excited to see what colors those will be. Lonely allium over here. And we do have potatoes in the barrel again. And one of the barrels, I put some flowers I dug up out of the rock wall, sensitive plant and turtle head, and a sedum. I just don't have the heart to get rid of them. Sadly, I have not found a replacement yucca for the pot. I've been looking because it was so perfect there. Can't find one. Planter I got for Mother's Day. The Thunbergia is kind of struggling to get on there. And I had some violas because I thought the purple and orange were pretty together. And then this garden I worked on this week. Some of my planters as well. Apple, a little disappointing. Hardly had any blossoms on it, so I won't really be having any fruit to harvest. I love how I sprinkled the forget-me-nots here. It's just such a pretty, fluffy look. And you can see there's a little bare spot in there. It's where the duck likes to hide. And she mashes things down. These are all new alliums. I've always had the Globe Master, but I added these smaller ones in last fall. I'm really enjoying those. This is the Blew My Mind Evolvulus, extra large. And then the Picasso petunias, Gomphrena. This is a Sun Patient. Dusty Miller I started from seed. And then a bunch of different annuals. I'm trying to reduce it, but it's really, really hard because the annuals are just so pretty and I can change them so easily every year. We get a salvia in the back. This poppy I transplanted and it survived. Sedum was a transplant. Very excited to keep that there. Catmint, Millennium alliums. These daylilies are swirling waters. They were on the other side of my steps and they just were getting too large. And they bloom for such a short period of time that I figured back here they could be hidden behind other plants and the hydrangea. Barberry, little shrubs. And I'm trying to go with purple and yellow in the front here. And I do have more coleus from seed that I had started. And I also popped in a few craspedia here and there for yellow pops, in addition to the lantana in the front. And some of this foliage is from daffodils. I trimmed most of the tulips back. I see I missed a few. And we also have some, I don't believe they're alliums, but they're going to be, some of this finer texture is going to be the little blue colored alliums, if I remember correctly. And these are some of the foolproof combinations from Proven Winners that I just popped into a pot. And I kind of love this color scheme over here. I can't wait till the Globe Masters open up. We get the salmon orange geraniums, the Saturn helianthus, and another evolvulus with the awesome blue flowers, and another poppy that survived transplanting and is doing very well. So that's it for end of May. I can't wait for all the annuals to fill in.